G'day, how's it going? It's Scott from ScottsHobbyz. Today I thought I'd just do a different kind of video, bit of a benchtop view of the knives I have made so far, or sort of before I started this YouTube channel. So you've seen all the ones I've done since if you've watched all the videos, but these are the ones that I got done before. My first ever attempt at a knife was this thing. It's a piece of mild steel. I've got a brass lanyard tube, 3 brass pins, not quite lined up right. You can see I haven't finished it very well. The bevel came out pretty good, for better than my other ones, a lot of them. Yeah, had a lot of fun with that one. I used a filing jig and it worked fairly well. A lot of hand sanding, took a long time. Very boring wood, Tassie oak that one is. Yeah, and second one I made was this bad boy here, from that same saw blade you saw me make the little utility knife out of. It's got a roughly 3-inch blade. It's a little flexible for you know, carving wood, that kind of thing, but as a letter opener or just for cutting the odd thing, it works really well. It's got a Tassie oak handle, which I reckon looks absolutely terribly boring, and 3 brass pins, no epoxy, just peened, so it's a mechanical lock on there. And yeah, I remember this one took me quite a while because I was still learning all the processes, and probably about 6 hours or so just for quite a basic knife. So that was fairly quick for me at the time. I could probably do that one in a little less now. My first real knife, where I actually went from bar stock, heat treated it, all that kind of thing. I bought a nice piece of wood off eBay. This is silky oak, and as you can see, it has an absolutely beautiful pattern. I love it, and I've soaked it in boiled linseed oil and terps and let it dry, and it swelled up a little bit, which meant everything's not as flush anymore. But yeah, for my first knife, I'm super proud of this. I took it up to a 400 grit finish. It started to get a bit of patina and whatever now, but so it's not quite clean looking. And I haven't used it too much. I don't want to use it being my first knife, you know. Yeah, I was pretty happy with how the bevel came out, considering I, for some reason, thought I could freehand it on my 1x30 and just kind of winged it, and you know, it went up to about there-ish and there, and it was a little convex, so I just ended up blending it all together with hand sanding, and seemed to come out alright. It's not completely symmetrical, but you know, pretty happy for my first knife, and it ended up nice and thin, so it cuts well and all that. My second knife with bar stock, oh, and both of these were 1084 by the way. Yeah, so this one was, I was going for a sort of bushcraft type design. I was trying for a saber, but I couldn't keep it clean when I went for the hand sanding. I sanded it a bit higher, and I think it was 600 or 800 grit, and it came out quite nice. Strikes a ferro rod really well. They all do, except for the mild steel one. I randomly just decided to wing it and did a kind of hourglass profile, just didn't measure anything, just did it by eye, and it's not completely symmetrical, but I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. The wood on this handle is, oh, what was it called? Spotty gum. And it's quite porous, as you can see. All the pores have sort of gotten full of like the steel from the spine as I'm sanding it, and the sawdust and the what's it called, you know, the abrasive on the paper, on the sandpaper. So that was kind of disappointing, and I don't know how to fix that, so it's probably a wood I'm going to avoid, just because I don't like the looks of it when it fills up like that. But feels real, knocked the camera, but feels really good in the hand. And you know, I've bashed it through some wood and carved some notches, and yeah, pretty pleased with that. So it's definitely one I'll use for a while. It's quite hard but sharpens easy. So, and again, brass pins, which I didn't paint these ones, it's just pinned and epoxied, so we'll see how that holds up, I guess. And the last one, this is the last two were 1/8 inch, and this one was 2.5 mil, which is about 1/10 of an inch, and then it ended up getting lower as I flattened it. It was about 2.2 mil or so by the end, so I thought, you know, nice thin sort of bushcrafty carver, more a full tang type thing, but I decided to try a different handle design, and yeah, I quite like it, pretty pleased with it. I decided to try leave it more rustic looking, so, you know, I painted the pins and they're, you know, a little bit proud. I don't know if you can see it on there, a little bit proud. I left the scale on from the forging, except for the bevel, of course, because as you sharpen it, that comes off. Nice little finger, whatever you call that, finger groove. Worked quite comfy, I think, and I like the curve at the end. It fits in the palm quite well, depending on how you're holding it. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, ran out of battery there, but this one does really well for carving. Well, the kind of carving I do so far is just learning how to carve notches and things, but eventually I'll get into some more intricate carving. But yeah, handle on this one is Jarrah. I can't remember if I epoxied it or not. I think I did. Yeah, but so these are my knives so far. Hope you enjoyed seeing what I've made, and hope you continue to stick with me as I learn and continue to delve into this hobby. Eventually I'll start getting into some other things. I'm definitely going to do some knife sharpening, and I've got a few other ideas for the channel, but it will be mainly blade related, mainly making knives and sharpening things and whatnot. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, make sure you have a good one. See you, bye.